If you're newly elected and you're still trying to figure out the lay of the land, if you're not 100% confident in the decisions that you're making, that's fine. You're still new. It's all right. You don't know what you don't know. But if you're looking for some tips to get more comfortable and to figure things out just a little bit faster, stay tuned. My name is Jennifer Mitchell Earley. I help individuals and teams achieve organizational success, and this is Leadership Matters. It doesn't take long from the moment that you waited with bated breath, heart racing, nervous, only to find out that you'd won the election, to the moment you walk into your swearing in ceremony and you raise your hand and you place your hand on the Bible and you take the oath of office in front of your friends and your family and your constituency, to that first moment that you walk into your chambers official and ready to conduct business, where you start to think, okay, what's my role? What are my responsibilities? Who is this body that I'm working with? How will I build relationships? How will we collaborate to move things forward? To, oh my goodness, what are all these reports that I'm getting? And the list goes on and on and on. And you feel a little bit overwhelmed because you wonder, what have I gotten myself into? I know this is something that I wanted. I talked to my constituents about it. I am excited. I've got ideas. I've made promises. How do I bring it all to fruition? Where do I start? It's hard, but try not to let your own expectations, the expectations of family and friends who supported you, and the expectations of your constituency weigh you down. You're just starting out. You've got a long way to go. It's just the beginning of your term. And to add insult to injury, we're in the middle of a global pandemic, the likes that we have not seen before in our lifetime. Got a couple tips for you moving forward so that you don't get disheartened, you don't feel overwhelmed, and that you continue to, stoke those flames of passion that brought you to this moment. 5 tips to help you be more confident and more comfortable in your new role. First, take a deep cleansing breath. It's easy to feel like we need to know the answers to everything right now. And you don't. You've got time. You've got your term to figure out what's going on and your position and your part and the part that you play in it. So take a deep breath. Listen to everything that's going on around you. Your main job right now is to be a sponge. Listen, observe, and ask clarifying questions. You don't know everything, and no one expects you to know everything. So now is the time to ask those questions, whether it be in the midst of a meeting, a committee meeting, a work session, or offline, grabbing somebody and say, hey, I've got a question. Can you clarify something for me? Or I'm not really sure about this. I will tell you from my perspective that your colleagues respect an individual who doesn't know everything out the gate. We respect individuals who acknowledge that there might be a learning curve and that they would like some assistance. Use those seasoned veteran officials around you to ask your questions, to get their thoughts, to get their perspective on the issues that you are facing. And that doesn't mean that you're going to just take solely what they say and just run with that alone, but it just means you're adding to your arsenal as it relates to your knowledge base and the information that you have at your fingertips to move forward and to make your own assessment of whatever it is you need to do or how you're going to move forward. That leads me to my second tip, which is to do your homework. Do your own homework. Even though you have seasoned elected officials and or administrative officials or consultants and experts around you that you're going to definitely use and glean from their wisdom, it is very important that you do your own homework, that you do your own research, that you have some idea of the opportunities that exist in the community, the challenges that exist in the community, the historical perspective of what's been going on in the community, whether that be that you have been to meetings. I hope that you have been to meetings before sitting on a body so that you will have your own perspective at least 6 months to 90 days before your term starts, so you'll know exactly what might be sitting in your lap when you start your official business. So if anything that comes along the pike, this may not be the first time that this organization is dealing with that issue. So do your own research, get some whatever documentation that exists regarding the problem, like we've been talking about widening the main street in our municipality. This is not the first time in 2020 is not the first time that this issue has been discussed. So you look at what other information may exist, any meeting minutes, as it relates to council, any committee meeting minutes, any of the reporting that has been done, if there's been traffic surveys and the like. Look at all of that to do your own homework. Another thing that you want to do as it relates to doing your own homework is understanding the culture of the organization. Now, you may have an idea from an outside perspective. I can't tell you how many times I've told you I've been in my current municipality for 11 years. How many times I've heard an incoming colleague say, "Oh, so now I know why you did X, Y, and Z." It was a big thing in our community because we would pass legislation on emergency. So that was a big issue. And one of my council colleagues, I would tease early on in his tenure about all the questions he had about why everything is done on emergency as a resident and how different his perspective was now having sat on council and getting the other side of the story. There's always two sides of a story, and unfortunately sometimes for our residents, they only see one side sitting out in the audience. They don't have the perspective of knowing behind the scenes. So make sure that you understand the culture of the organization, and in order to do that, sometimes you have to give it time because you haven't been on the other side until now. So you don't know other than what other people have told you or what you may have gleaned from being on that side of the situation, but you have no firsthand knowledge of what it's like to sit in the seat that you're sitting in now. So you've been there a couple months now. It's a little different, isn't it? Next, you'll want to understand how your community is structured. Is your community chartered or is it unchartered? You'll want to look at your state revised code just to see how that all lines out after you first looked at your own municipal charter and administrative code. You also want to know how your municipality operates. You want to know that from a budgetary perspective, like your expenditures versus your revenues. You want to know what has been a challenge historically for your community. Are there seasons or quarters that are a struggle for your municipality where you have to really pull back on some of your expenditures? Are there issues like with utilities? For example, in my current municipality, we've had situations with our sewer provider and in a street in our community that has backups and backflow issues, and we've had to provide backflow preventer. So things of that nature. Really make sure that you're in touch with the issues that are in play in your municipality. And I will say this, whether you are elected at large or if you're elected for your ward. And I understand that wards have different responsibilities and you solely kind of focus on your ward, but it's always good to know and be in touch with and have an idea about what's going on in your entire municipality, because residents don't always care that they're not in your ward. If they see that you're effective in that ward and they feel like they're not getting the responsiveness that they need or that they would like to see, they're going to come to you and ask a question. And so even though you can redirect them, how much more effective is it, or how much more of a service are you providing to your community at large when you're able to answer those questions and give them information that can help to resolve any issues. In this time of a pandemic, doing your homework also includes understanding and having your finger on the pulse as it relates to any public health issues in your community. Public health and safety paramount, top. If there are any issues in your community, you want to know what those issues are, and you want to have a plan as to who you need to talk to, who you can work with. If you're bringing new ideas to the table, doing that in a collaborative effort. If there's other ideas that existed, to, hash those out and really vet those things out. First are the paramount public health and safety issues. I would say next on my list and my list of tips would be, in doing your homework, understand the finances of your community. Your goal, if you're a legislator, is to ensure the fiscal health of your community, that it is financially sustainable, that it was there when you got there and it's going to be there when you leave, because you are providing appropriate financial oversight. Last but certainly not least, under tip number 2, I know I'm giving you a lot of information. Under tip number 2, do your homework, is to know your role, your responsibilities, and your authority. How can you do a job if you don't know what that job entails and or how to carry out your responsibilities? All of that information is found in your municipal charter and your administrative code. That's the first place that you want to stop and read for comprehension, so that you understand what you are responsible for. Tip number 3, communication and follow up is paramount. Communication and following up / following through is paramount. I had to say it twice because that's how important it is. Communicate openly with your colleagues. Let them know if there's some things that you're not clear about, or if there's a situation where you are not fully committed, and what it would take to get your commitment. Just that dialogue is so important. You're going to be working with a body of individuals who have different frames of references, different ideas about what it's going to take to resolve an issue, to, move a municipality forward, all those things. And there's so much to be gained from having an open, honest dialogue with your colleagues, because you're in it together. You should have the same common goal, which is to move the municipality forward, to do what's in the best interest of your community and your residents, and to put them first always. Don't forget, your residents or your constituents are the reasons why you're in office. They are the ones who elected you. If you get a call, return it. Give yourself a space of time, set expectations like, I'll return your call in 24 or 48 hours, whatever the case may be. Don't leave your constituents hanging. Don't leave them out in the cold. Do not ignore them. If you don't know, simply say, I don't know, but let me check with X, Y, and Z, or let me do some additional research, or whatever it is that you need to do. And I'll get back to you by this date, and get back to them by that time. I do a newsletter. If there's something that I want my residents to know and I want to be able to explain it, I put it in a newsletter and I explain it there. And residents call me, they've emailed me, and I respond to them in any vehicle that they want to reach out in any way that they are, whatever way they're most comfortable. A lot of them stop me while I cut my grass, to tell you the truth, and I cut off my lawnmower and I answer whatever question it is that they're posing to me. Don't make promises that you can't keep. And that kind of goes along with, if you don't know it, say it. Here's the thing. There's no I in team. So you're not going to be able to resolve every issue. It won't start and end with you. It may not even be an issue that's in your wheelhouse. Remember, we talk about looking at your roles and responsibilities and your authority. And that's why it's important that you know that. Sometimes you have to refer it back. Sometimes you have to get other people involved to make sure that, the situation gets rectified. So don't make promises that you can't keep. Just say, I'm going to look into it. And that's what people appreciate. They appreciate responsiveness. They appreciate follow through, and they appreciate honesty. If you can help someone out, or if you can say, I'm not the person, but this person is, and you can put them in touch with that person, that goes a long way. Tip number 4, consistency is key. I don't know how many times I've said this throughout my tenure, and I've even said it to my council body. Be very careful when you make a decision. Make sure that it aligns with our current policies and or laws. The last thing that we want to do is set precedent with something and regret it. I also, along those lines, is don't be rushed to judgment. Do not allow yourself and or your body to be put in a position where a decision needs to be made yesterday. Rash decisions will leave you in a position where you haven't been able to fully vet whatever the problem is, the issue is, and it may lead to you setting a precedent or enacting a policy that you later regret, but that you don't know you're going to regret until you're in the midst of it. Issues that are not fully vetted can potentially adversely impact your community, and you don't want that. So take the necessary time individually to inform your vote and collectively to ensure that you're all ready to vote an issue up or down, because you have thought it out from the beginning to the end, and you are confident that it is in the best interest of your municipality and residents. Tip number 5, last but certainly not least, is uphold and honor your municipal charter and administrative code. That's my favorite. That's my number one. Because I'm the eager beaver who believes in reading code. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you missed one of my videos, and I'll go ahead and put it here so that you can click on it. This is the administrative code. My charter is here and my codified ordinances. This is my municipal Bible. Everything that I need to know about my municipality is here. Well, not quite everything, because I've been an elected official for a little while, so things are now electronic. You can go online and you can find your code online. At least ours and a lot of other municipalities are housed online, and you can do search, and it's great. But it's just something about flipping through these pages that have been highlighted and underlined over the years to get to the information that I want. This is very important. This is the rule of law for your municipality. And if you don't uphold it as a legislator, no one else will. So make sure that you read, digest, and understand your charter, your administrative code, and your codified ordinances. I can't tell you. I think last week I was stopped outside in the yard, like I told you. And one of my residents was telling me about a home on our street where the workers were working at 7 o'clock in the morning, hammering and all that. And I know, because I hear it too. He's only a couple houses down from me. And I went to my code to find out what times those things were permitted to happen. And the developer with his contractors, they were within code. They were working legally. However, our police department stopped over and just asked them out of courtesy if they could work internally until 8 a.m. and then come out and do any external work because of the noise. And they were so gracious, and we appreciate that about our developers, that they are conscientious and they understand some of the needs of our residents, and they were willing. He complied, and it's been great. But I went back to my handy dandy to find it so that I could respond. I could follow up and follow through to the resident. So those are my 5 tips. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that every time I upload new videos, you'll be the first to know and you won't miss any new content. Leave your comments below if there's something that you want to see. If you want me to do a video on a certain topic, leave that below. If you have any questions that I can answer, go ahead and do that now.